I've spent hundreds of hours playing Cyberpunk 2077 now, and I'm sure just like you guys, I'm ready to play Cyberpunk 2. And there are surprisingly a ton of things that we already know, from gameplay details, the setting, and a release date window. In case you haven't heard the release date window yet, I'm not going to sit here and hold you in suspense. CD Projekt Red has said that they often take 4 to 5 years from pre-production to full release, and that it's entirely possible that Cyberpunk 2 won't release until late 2030 or 2031. So yeah, we have quite a while, but that's not too surprising. We already knew that The Witcher 4 was going to release first, and that's not going to release until at least 2027 or 2028. They confirmed that it 100% was not releasing in 2026. Not to mention that they're also working on a new Witcher multiplayer game, as well as an entirely new game, which isn't part of The Witcher or Cyberpunk, and is an entirely new IP. This video has been brought to you by Opera GX in their collaboration with Cyberpunk 2077. If you click on my link down in the description, you can download Opera GX to have the entire Cyberpunk 2077 hub at the click of your browser. To get this Cyberpunk 2077 theme, you need mods, which you can access with the mods icon on the left. Click the icon at the center to get to the store, search for Cyberpunk, and download the official Cyberpunk 2077 mod. Click the GX Corner logo to take you over to the hub, where you can check out the video and music section to stay up to date on the game, or play some of the Cyberpunk radio or soundtrack. The game booklet or guide to the game is there too, or you can get assistance from the interactive map, or use the shortcut to the build planner that I use in my build videos, plus modding and cosplay guides. The Cyberpunk mod gives you a lot of different things to customize and toggle, like the sounds, the background music, and my favorite part, the keyboard sounds, and a ton of other features like the splash screen. Plus you can toss on the live wallpaper that gives you a massive amount of customization on that as well. Opera GX makes it easy to import all of your settings from your previous browser, like browsing history, bookmarks, and cookies, with their import tool. It's also compatible with every Google Chrome extension. Just go over to browser settings, the little gear icon, synchronization, import bookmarks and settings, and just click import. Click on the link down in the description in the pinned comment to give the ultimate browser made for gamers a try. Thank you to Opera GX for sponsoring the video. If you didn't know already, Cyberpunk's creator, Mike Pondsmith, has confirmed that Cyberpunk 2 takes place in 2 different cities, one of them being Night City, and another being an entirely new city that is supposed to be like a Chicago gone wrong.
I spent a lot of time talking to one of the environment guys, and he was explaining how the new place in Orion, because there's another city we visit. I'm not telling you any more than that, but there's another city we visit, and Night City's still there. But I remember looking at it and going, yeah, I understand the feel that you're going for this, and this really does work. And it doesn't feel like Blade Runner. It feels more like Chicago gone wrong. And I said, yeah, I can see, this working.
At first, when you hear this, you're probably like, what the heck? Chicago gone wrong? How much worse could it get? But I think he's just talking about the design of the city, and it being less retro cyberpunk, neon lights everywhere, like that 80s and 90s like cyberpunk retro feel that the game's inspired by, because he does say it's less Blade Runner. The new city will look like a little less dystopian, but probably chaotic. I mean, in Songbird's flashbacks to Brooklyn during the Phantom Liberty DLC story, the little bit that you do see of Brooklyn does not look like Night City. Granted, this isn't supposed to be like a great look of the city, it's just a brief flashback, and you can only really see out here by modding. But this is kind of how I imagine him talking about this Chicago gone wrong. Just this, but probably more trash everywhere, just more chaos. I don't think Cyberpunk 2 will necessarily be set in Chicago, despite it being a pretty short train ride from Night City, because I don't think he would just give us the answer for Cyberpunk 2's setting, even if he knew it. But it could be there in New York, since we do see some of that, and we also know of different characters from New York, or it could be somewhere else in California nearby Night City, or even an entirely new country, which would be awesome. I would much prefer it to just be an entirely new place outside of the country. I think there's nothing wrong with keeping just Night City and doing more with this world. I mean, Night City itself has so much more to expand on. Compared to the entire size of the map, there are so many buildings that are just unused, you can't really do anything with. But I mean, especially the Badlands. I have only felt like since this game released that the Badlands was meant to have more. It feels incomplete out here, like it's just here to be here. It's not that it's a desert, it is that it is like completely dead. The only time you ever have to come out here is for a mission to bring you here, which it feels almost like it's just doing so to utilize this big area. Which I get that the Badlands is kind of supposed to feel like this. All animals and natural wildlife have been wiped out, so it's kind of canon to not have all of these living things out here, and it's also a desert. I just feel like there should be more content out here, at least more nomad things to do. You have some like nomad car races and other activities. It just feels like the game stops existing once you get to the Badlands. One of the characters who I mentioned being from New York, besides Songbird, is Morgan Blackhand.
Morgan Blackhand, Andrew Whalen, Adam Smasher. Legends are born here.
It has been confirmed that Morgan Blackhand, probably the biggest legend of Night City, who was the #1 solo in the country before he vanished, is still alive and might pop up in Cyberpunk 2. Cyberpunk's creator, Mike Pondsmith, a little while back, said that he didn't let CD Projekt Red use him until he fleshed out his story, but will be letting them use him in the future.
Morgan will surface. He is alive, but I have about 10 years that Morgan's doing some fairly important stuff. And the best I can say is, imagine if the Batman traveled a lot. He left Gotham City every so often to deal. Morgan is out and about, and it's not just Morgan, that's all I'll tell you. And we have a deal, me and CD, which is they don't get to do something with Morgan until, I agree to it. And so right now what's going on is I am building backstory into Red of what Morgan did to get up to 77, and you're going to see him in a couple other places that aren't necessarily Night City, because we're talking about expanding the world a bit.
Morgan Blackhand's not just a charge in and start blasting type of guy, but he was famous for the fact that he could get in and out and complete any mission without killing anyone if he wanted to. The last time he was seen was at the top of Arasaka Tower, during the mission where Johnny Silverhand raids Arasaka Tower to save Alt. And the game doesn't really tell you this, but Johnny is just one squad of a team. Morgan Blackhand is leading another squad who is placing the bombs, while Johnny is getting his back blown out by Adam Smasher. After Johnny's killed, Morgan Blackhand fights Adam Smasher, kills him with the nuclear bomb's detonation, and uses Adam Smasher's frame to somehow survive the fall to the bottom of the tower. You don't see any of this in the game because the memories you see of Johnny aren't real. His memories are redacted by Arasaka, and that's the last that we heard of Morgan Blackhand, but you'll hear news clips in the game referring to a character just like him with his signature black cyberarm. Orion, or Cyberpunk 2, looks like it'll also have multiplayer. It has not been officially confirmed by the developers to have multiplayer, but there have been a ton of rumors and leaks about it, plus the fact that they've been hiring developers specifically to develop some sort of online thing and are asking for people who have experience in multiplayer games. Not to mention the financial analysts who focus on CD Projekt Red to get information for their investors also believe that Cyberpunk 2 will have multiplayer, or that they are at least developing a Cyberpunk multiplayer right now. So there's a very strong possibility that Cyberpunk 2 will have some sort of online multiplayer mode, even more so because CD Projekt Red has said that they want multiplayer in all of their franchises at some point. We just don't know for sure if Cyberpunk 2 will have it. It seems like they're most likely working on some multiplayer right now, but whether or not it'll be in the actual game, we don't know. Cyberpunk 2077 was supposed to have multiplayer, but was one of the many things that were canceled in development. For Cyberpunk 2, I wish or hope that they mainly just focus on single player. And I'm someone who would love multiplayer in Cyberpunk. Co-op multiplayer could be awesome. If they did it like Far Cry or the Skyrim mod where you and a buddy or two could join in and do missions or explore together, that could be really fun, as long as it doesn't take away from the single player aspect of the game. If it was like GTA or Red Dead where it's got an entirely separate online mode, maybe where you're like a lower tier random guy in the world, and it's not just basically a bunch of overpowered Vs running around, I think that could be fun too. But I think most people think they'll use that Corpo-inspired Rockstar Games infinite money glitch where there won't be another Cyberpunk game for another 15 years. Instead, you have samurai cards. We also know that Cyberpunk 2 is being developed by a different studio. CD Projekt Red's two new studios in Boston and Vancouver are leading the development of Orion, while the Polish studios are still focusing on The Witcher 4. This goes along with CD Projekt Red's plans to expand and release games much faster, developing multiple games at the same time. If they weren't doing this, we probably wouldn't see Cyberpunk 2 until like 2040. But that's not the only reason that they think they'll be giving us Cyberpunk and Witcher games a lot faster, and also why multiplayer might work out this time around, as a lot of it comes down to them switching over to Unreal Engine 5. If you didn't know, Cyberpunk 2077 and every Witcher game was developed in CD Projekt Red's own custom game engine, which is called Red Engine. This is huge. Ever since they said that they're switching game engines, there's been a lot of hate, partially because a lot of the other games that use Unreal Engine 5 haven't turned out to be technical marvels and generally look the same. And while a lot of Unreal Engine 5 games definitely do look the same, it's not entirely because of the game engine. An engine doesn't define how a game looks. I mean, look at The Witcher 4. I'm not skeptical about this part yet, and actually kind of excited. As cool as it is that they've created their own custom game engine for every game they've created and have built it to what it is now, this sounds like a change that's going to make it easier to make good games and make them faster. For multiple reasons, like whenever they hire someone, they have to train that person on how to use their own custom game engine. They're probably always going to need to train developers after they hire them to some extent to make these games, but with Unreal Engine 5, it should at least be less of a headache, especially since they're also partnered with Epic Games who work alongside them, allowing them to focus more on the game and not so much on the actual engine or having to worry about the engine breaking whenever they change something. And all of that combined with the fact that game engines cost a ton of money just to maintain, usually tens of millions, up to even over $100 million per year. And one of the big reasons for the switch over to Unreal Engine 5 is because of what happened to Cyberpunk 2077 at launch. Their plan as of now is to release games faster while also making their high quality games without it taking years and years to get the bugs out. We've also seen that they're doing a ton of work to customize Unreal Engine 5 and not just use like the stock assets that are in the engine and hopefully get rid of some of that Unreal Engine feel and look that a lot of Unreal Engine 5 games have. It seems like a lot of that feel that people complain about is due to developers just using some of the stock assets that are in the engine. And CD Projekt Red isn't just using Unreal Engine 5, they're almost like building pieces of it. They've already developed things in Unreal Engine 5 to help improve some of the issues that the engine has that Epic Games have actually made part of Unreal Engine itself. CD Projekt Red is actually working on a system right now for Cyberpunk 2 that gives us much more realistic crowds and NPCs, not just the Spider-Man NPCs that we've had since launch. Something interesting is that Cyberpunk 2's creative director was responding to questions about the game, and in response to how Cyberpunk 2077's story and its constant sense of urgency kind of makes it hard to want to stop and do side content, he mentioned that if he could do it again, he'd make it like doing side quests and gigs would have felt like you escaping death by creating your own legend, and that maybe he'd tie an ending to completing enough side content. I really like that idea, and I think it'd be really cool, but this just reminded me of how underutilized the street cred system feels in the game. I love the idea of street cred and it being like the reputation system here. It's just that I typically forget it even exists. It feels like a background stat just showing your progression rather than feeling like your reputation. It is incredibly rare to see any difference in how any characters act or do things based off of your street cred. It'd be cool if people had more reactions toward your street cred, or there was just at least something here to show how much bigger you've gotten besides just the menu stat. He was also asked about the canon ending to Cyberpunk 2077, so spoiler alert here, and yeah, he doesn't say which ending is canon, but mentions that both the Corpo turned Nomad ending and the Nomad start with a Corpo ending are both of his favorite endings, and both the Corpo start and Nomad ending always felt the most canon to me, but even more so after we found out we're going to a new city. For one, the Corpo start is the only start where you knew Jackie longer than 5 minutes. It makes the most sense for how V reacts to losing Jackie. It feels like this is the start that the story is meant to have, and the Nomad ending is the only one with some sort of hope that V lives. I mean, besides the Reed ending for Phantom Liberty, which that is my least favorite ending in the entire game. But Cyberpunk 2 might even have you play as V, who survived. I would love to start at the bottom again as someone new, but if V does survive, maybe he's back to level 1, and since you're in a new city, your street cred is reset, and you're basically level 1 V again. Or they could say screw it and make a new ending that had nothing to do with any of the ones that we got in 2077, and we have no clue what happened. I would be completely okay as starting as an entirely new character, where V died, or has like the Morgan Blackhand thing where maybe he's alive somewhere, maybe not, and is just like a Night City legend. I have a strong feeling we'll see some sort of trailer or teaser for Cyberpunk 2 and Edgerunners 2 releases, or at least an update for Cyberpunk 2077 along with it. It would be absolutely absurd for them to not drop something alongside the new anime after how the game absolutely exploded with Season 1 and Update 1.6. Edgerunners 2 does not have a release date yet, but there have been rumors that it could drop in late 2026 or early 2027, and Season 1 of Edgerunners took 4 years to produce, so it could be even longer. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching and making it to this point in the video, and thank you to Opera GX for sponsoring the video. See ya.